Hey channel members, it's me, Monkey Dragon here, and the topic of today's video is Fallout 4, and with that, let's go to begin. Okay guys, we have a lot of Fallout news to talk about, some like random little videos, and then we'll get into like a breakdown later on. But first off, I want to talk about is there was two videos that came out talking about Dogmeat, our dog companion, in the most recent Fallout game, Fallout 4. And it's pretty cool, it's pretty interesting. We get to see the dog that he's inspired by, some of the things of like, oh, let's see how he works here and there, and all this really cool stuff. So I recommend you guys check that out if you're kind of a Dogmeat fan. I know I am, I love Dogmeat. He's one of my favorite companions among all. But yeah, guys, so if you want to check out those videos, links down below in the description. Go and check them out. They're pretty freaking awesome. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is another special video that was released by Bethesda, and this one is talking about endurance. For the most part, it's just that same kind of old school rustic style of like, oh, here's what's going on with this, you know, the 50s reels and all this kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. For the most part, it doesn't really give us any information that we don't already know about. It's pretty standard, although I did want to mention a few things. One, it did say that, as to be expected, it talked about how your endurance level, or you know, how much endurance you have affects, you know, how much radiation you take, and also how much damage you take, which is to be expected. That's how it was, or at least how it worked in the past games. But I thought it was something worth mentioning. Something on a side note slightly, they did also mention that food and water was something that fuels you. If you guys don't know, in Fallout New Vegas, there was a system called, I think, hardcore mode, or like hard mode or something like that, where you did have to worry about food. You know, you had to constantly take in food, and you had to worry about your thirst and everything else like that. So I thought it was interesting that they mentioned food and water. So maybe in Fallout 4, that's a default kind of thing where we have to constantly worry about food and water, because beforehand, food was something that you threw away because all you needed was your stim packs and everything else. I know for me, I naturally play on the hardest, most difficult level. I don't play in hardcore mode because I don't like worrying about food and stuff, but I do like playing on the hard difficulty. So it'll be interesting to see if defaultly you have to worry about food and water innately. I think that'll be pretty interesting, because it would kind of make Fallout a little bit more realistic. Because all that food that you collect, for the most part, it's just added weight. You don't really need it. All you really need is the stim packs, at least how it was in the previous games. I've always thought about kind of playing hardcore and whatnot, just for the idea of having to worry about that, adding, you know, another element to the game to make it a little more difficult. But I didn't like the idea of my companions dying, so that was one of the reasons why it deterred me from it. But yeah, I guess that's all I really got to say about most of the news. All the other news is just kind of like re-speculations of everything that's going on, kind of just loosely out there, nothing really amazing. But something that did come out that I thought was kind of really important to share with you guys is they came out with a Fallout 4 character system where they talk about perks, how you kind of level up and all this kind of stuff, and I thought it was really interesting. So we're going to cut right now to a breakdown video that I did of it, and hopefully you guys find some information that maybe you guys missed, and you guys see some things that are pretty interesting. So yeah, here's the video. Okay guys, this is going to be the breakdown portion of the video where I kind of take you by and show you the things that I found that were pretty interesting in that video. So yeah, let's go ahead and begin with this. So in this first part of the video, there was nothing really much in the beginning. It was mostly just breakdowns and other little things. One of the first things that I did want to show you, and it was actually right here, is if you guys notice when it's showing the person and what's going on here with all this information, as you guys can see, we have the gun here, and it tells us, you know, how much damage he does, but then we also have the armor, you know, a symbol of the armor, the helmet and whatnot. What I find interesting about this is we have these three symbols here next to it. If you guys remember, previously in the old Fallouts, we had rad resistance. You know, we would have rad away, and then we also had Rad X or something like that. We had like a defensive thing. This way we can bring down the radiation that we got per level. So it seems like now, instead of just having like a damage threshold symbol for our armor, we will also have like, oh, this armor is also really good against, you know, radiation stuff, because we would also have radiation suits that we could wear. So maybe some armor, maybe combat armor, could also be somewhat required with radiation proofness. So that could be pretty cool. I'm assuming this would be damage threshold. I'm not really sure what this would be. There's no magic here, and I don't know why, but like, I just thought like lightning, and I'm like, wait, no one really shoots lightning. So maybe now, just thinking about it right now, maybe it has to do with energy weapons. You know, this shows you how good it is against, you know, bullets and stuff, and maybe this one's about, oh, how good you are against defense against lasers and plasma weapons, and then this once again is for radiation. That was just my little thoughts that I wanted to point out. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Let's go and continue on with the video. One of the next things that I wanted to talk about is this. Ooh, past it. this right here. It's just like a frame difference, but it's where I put my marker. What I wanted to talk about here, and what I found to be pretty interesting, is in the wording right here, it says, it affects your success to persuade in dialogue. I'm not sure if this just means, you know, your speech skills innately higher when you come in. If you guys don't know, when you choose your specials, higher strength, perception, all these different things, they affect you differently. They usually affect, you know, how much skill you innately have with these things. Charisma is obviously associated with barter and speech. But the way that it says affects your success in persuasion, if you guys don't know, in the old school Fallouts before Fallout New Vegas, there was a percentage chance whenever you were trying to acquire something, you know, like, hey, why don't you come fight alongside of me? And it would be like a 59% or something else like that. And when you would take it, there was a chance for you to get it. If your skill was high enough, it would be 100% at the time. But in Fallout New Vegas, they changed it to where you needed a certain spill or a speech gap. So if you had like 59 speech, and the dialogue needed 60, it was just a failure. It was just an instant failure. And I didn't really like that. I was like, oh, come on, I'm like 1 point off. Now I gotta go find the magazine or something to go get this guy. So I'd like it if it would instead be like, oh, you got a 96% chance to get this guy. You know, it's a small little gap, you know, between 59 to 60. So I don't know if this is if this says, you know, if it kind of entails that when we do dialogue with speech, like chances to get something better, maybe it will be percentage, or maybe not. Maybe it's just referencing to how many points you'll get in speech and whatnot. But I thought that was something worth mentioning. Let's go and continue on. In this next little section right here, in this next little point for intelligence, this is something that I thought was pretty interesting. It says, and affects the number of experience points earned. Beforehand, the way that you leveled up your guy and you got your barter and everything else up is with skill points. I'm assuming that's how this still works right now, although I don't see this here, which is pretty interesting. You just see special and perks, so maybe they've done away with the whole system of your skill points and whatnot, because beforehand your intelligence affected the amount of the skill points that you got. And here it says the number of experience points. So maybe instead of going with skill there's so many things here. Instead of going with the skill points that we had before, maybe it's just going straight with the perks. You know, your perks affect everything about you instead of going with the skill things. So I thought it was pretty interesting that now if you choose the higher intelligence that you get more experience points. That's never been done before. Beforehand, it was always just a flat amount of XP, and you can take perks later on. I think it was like influential learner or something like that increased you by like I think 10% every single time you took it, the more XP you got. So that's pretty cool that intelligence now affects the amount of experience points you get, but I guess we're getting rid of the skill points that we had before. But yeah, let's go and move on with the next thing. For the most part, this rest of the part, it's nothing too insatiable. All these things that you guys see here, you guys can go ahead and see for yourselves. One of them I did find interesting is Gun Nut. This one right here where it says you gain access to gun to rank mods. Beforehand in Fallout New Vegas, I really like the ability of getting gun mods because it was really cool. You know, you can put silencers on you like your big sniper rifles, and you can make them weigh less. This way you can carry more and all these other little crazy things. It was really cool. But the only way to get them was to pay a lot of money at vendors. But if you're able to craft these things now, since you know they're really going into the crafting system extremely, it's pretty interesting that I guess now it won't be so much that you're able to get these modifications from vendors. It's about you building them yourselves. So that's something that I wanted to point out, that it looks like now it requires the perks in order to like get your extra long barrel of your laser pistol to make it into a laser rifle or something. So that's pretty interesting. I thought that was pretty cool. I like that system, so that now you have to do that. And just once again, it also apparently goes alongside with science too. So when you have your laser rifles and your laser weapons and plasmas and stuff like that, that it's going to be going along with a perk system too, rather than buying them from vendors. That was just something that I wanted to point out, just because. So here we get a lot of information. Once again, talking about charisma here. And I thought it was pretty interesting, once again, about the whole persuasion and dialogue and stuff. But something else that I wanted to note is, if you guys notice, it says that we're able to choose one right here. And what this is saying is, beforehand, in the previous Fallouts, there was this option of intensive trainer for us to increase our innate skills for our specials. So we could increase our strength, perception, endurance by 1 if we wanted to, like every other level or something. But apparently, we're able to choose that. So instead of picking a perk, like we can see that he's kind of doing right here, we could just instantly choose to upgrade it right then, if we wanted to, which is pretty cool. I just thought that kind of streamlined the process. I thought that was really interesting, that now we don't have to like take a perk and then we do this or something else like that. We could just directly choose to increase our special right there. So I don't know, I thought that was pretty interesting. There's a lot of perks, as you guys can see, just like waving around and whatnot. I thought it was all pretty freaking cool. There's a lot of perks coming up that I wanted to talk about because I thought they were all pretty interesting. For the most part, I guess big sale, or cap collector, I guess as they're calling it, increases your sale prices and decreases your sale prices and increases your sell rate to them. You know, it decreases how much you're buying, it increases how much you're selling. I don't know. I just thought that was pretty cool. And I remember beforehand, I think it like increased your big sale, the old school perk. I think it just increased the amount of caps they had or something like that. But it has been quite a while since I've used this. They've also changed the way Lady Killer works. Beforehand, Lady Killer was like, I think it was just increased damage to women. And then it was like intimidating presence or something else like that like gave you unique dialogue options. But apparently in this one, I guess you get more damage to women, and you also get easier persuasion and dialogue and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. I thought that was pretty interesting. Lone Wanderer, I don't think I'll ever use this perk, to be 100% honest. The idea of not having my companions with me, I'm not sure if this also includes your dog, because there's no way you're going to leave Dogmeat behind. It's Dogmeat. You got to take Dogmeat with you. But I just thought it was an interesting thing, that you take less damage and you can carry more. You would have to go like multiple times into this perk before it's even worth it, because I think your companion can almost carry as much as you can. I know in Fallout New Vegas there was like different like challenges that you can do with them, and then they can carry more weight, like Boone. He carried like a massive amount of weight, so I don't know if it's really worth it. You would have to totally go into like the third one until it's eventually worth it, just for them like carrying stuff. I know they're derps for shooting things, but you know, they're like bullet sponges. You know, you kind of use them as cannon fodder as they go out and get shot. I don't know. I like having my cannon fodder around me. They're really awesome. Oh, I also like the idea of you're able to, like, the last, like, 3 streaks here for perks on this side is all about if you're a high enough level, you're able to intimidate the animals around you and tell them, like, hey, chill, calm down, you know, don't come at me. Because I remember Animal Friend beforehand, I think animals, like natural animals, like dogs and other stuff like that, would come to your aid and fight with you when things were going around, you know, when things were going bad. And I always thought that was cool. But now it looks like if they're below your level, you're just like, hey, back the hell up. You know, I'm an intensive mother effer. I'm big, strong. I'm level 50. So I thought that was pretty cool. We also got the idea of local leader here, which apparently when you're building your cities and whatnot, you're able to transfer the shipping routes or something between them. I don't know what that means. Maybe what that means is that they'll have more items in their shops and they'll have more caps as you connect the trade routes, I guess. That could be pretty interesting. I like that concept of always increasing the caps, because it always ends up that you have more items than you can sell. That's how it always ends up in Fallout. In the beginning, it's a little bit tough, but then eventually there's just so much loot around you that you just have caps for days. You always have cap for days, and you can never sell enough because all those people run out of money so quick. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, that idea. Inspirational speaker. I thought this was really cool. It's another little take on beforehand. I remember before it was that you couldn't do damage to your people for like hardcore or something like that. But apparently they won't do damage to you, which your companion does more damage. Oh, and cannot hurt you. That's where I read that from. I thought it was interesting. Like, they can hurt me naturally, so like if I step in their fire of them throwing it, that's why I never give them grenades, because they're horrible. Now if I give them a grenade, they're gonna kill me. Oh no, that sucks. I don't want them to hurt me, so I may be forced to take this perk. I don't want to be hurt. Once again, another perk of if the animals are lower than you, then you can command them to leave you alone and stuff. This is one that's really cool. It deals with intimidating people around you. So if there's a person that's a lower level than you, then you can command them to like leave you the F alone. And they'll be like, okay, I'm good. You know, I'm not going to F with that guy. And that's something else that I've always really liked. I've liked that idea that, you know, like sometimes you don't want to be annoyed when you're just walking around the way. It's like, do. And then all of a sudden there's like a pack of dogs or like some rad scorpions or something. You're like, oh, come on, dude. Like, they're just annoying. Now my companions are going to fight them. I'm going to get cutscenes and other stuff. It's like, just leave me alone. You guys are such low levels. And sometimes you'll get the occasional, like, Viper gang leader that wants to come and F with you, but it's like, really, dude? Pop dead. Like, leave me alone. I like this idea that, you know, it's like, who are you? And he was like, whoa, my bad. And then they just leave you alone. That's awesome. I love it. It's super amazing. Something else that he did mention when he was talking about all these perks is, the guy that was narrating this entire thing, is that all these perks are based off of your level into them. So if you had charisma level 10 in here and you just came out of the vault, you could take this perk right away, easily peasily, nothing else to do. You could take this perk. All these perks, all the first level perks, you know, the first subversion of these perks, are all just about whatever level of special that you have. So you can innately increase your charisma. So if you got your charisma to like level 9, you could take like 1 point into it, and then instantly retake this perk afterwards on your next level up. So that's pretty freaking cool. I like that idea of it not just being like waiting for you and whatnot. There was a little thing that I did notice when he was talking about all this, is when he did take the next level of the perk. Right now, in order to get that, you would need to be level 23 charisma 10. So those are the little stipulations that we have. So you can't just go like, oh, intimidation, fill it all up really, really quickly. You have to be certain levels at this. So you'll have to kind of like scatter plot around trying to fill up the perks as you're waiting for your next level up, which I think is pretty freaking cool. I thought that was really, really awesome. Let's show you this next little bit up here that's going to be coming up. And lastly, the last version of this perk is level 50. So you have to be level 50, charisma 10, in order to get it. And one thing that I wanted to mention about this perk being level 3, look how awesome this description of it is. When you successfully pacify someone, you can give them specific commands. And obviously in the previous one, you guys didn't catch it, you can tell them to attack someone. So if you pacify someone who's a lower level than you, you essentially make them cannon fodder, like, back up, go attack your buddies, and they're like, okay, my bad, and then they'll start attacking you. That's usually something that you get with like a rare version of like a speech dialogue, but you get the ability to be so powerful to just tell people to go fight for you. That's awesome. I love it. That is so amazing. I love that perk. It is going to be the best thing ever, and I can't wait to use it. I want to have a charisma 10 now. It really, really makes me want to do it. Another perk that I wanted to point out here is lets the Vault-Tec guide you. So in that, it'll actually display a line of where your quest is. So essentially, now, now we're able to get, not a waypoint, I can't think of it now. I had the word for it when I originally seen this, but it essentially gives you a path to wherever we're going to be going. It's bugging me that I can't think of the name of this thing, because I know there's a name for it specifically for this. But yeah, now we have that. That's freaking awesome. I know some people usually get confused. Me, for the most part, I don't. Especially since you can just pull up your Pip-Boy, look at the map, and see the little target thing. I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out. It's usually easy. The only time that I will say it's difficult is when you go into the vaults and they're multi-leveled, and then it's just like, it's over here, and it's like, which level is it? Is it here? Do I gotta sneak around there? Like, I'll give you that. Innately, I'm going to be exploring every single inch of this vault to get all the loot, but sometimes if you want to just speedrun, you're like, I don't want to deal with this, it's kind of cool that we get that little waypoint system to go wherever we want. That's pretty epic. I absolutely love that. Another thing that I wanted to point out right here is that now, because beforehand, with your whole skill point thing, your medicine skill points what determined how much I guess healing that you can get, the rad away that affected you, your stim packs that affected you, your rad resists and your med-X and all that kind of stuff. You know, it well, not your med-X, because your med-X did your like damage resistance, because Psycho was damage dealt. Yeah, so that, yeah, Psycho was damage buff and the med-X was damage resistance. So this right here kind of further makes me believe that they are getting rid of the whole skill point system. So now we won't be having skills anymore. Essentially, we won't have like that bar skill where we got to increase to get better prices. You know, all these things here kind of led themselves. Also, like Big Sale here, it kind of all mends itself to like, yeah, we're not going to get those skill points anymore. It's all going to be about these perks that we have, which is pretty cool. It changes the system up a lot, and it also kind of reaffirms that whole system with the intelligence with you getting more XP. So instead of you getting more skill points to fill up your stuff, you're getting more intelligence this way. You get more XP this way. You can fill up your perk slots better and quicker, which is pretty freaking cool. And yeah, I like the idea of it also removing or giving you more health with stim packs and removing more radiation with rad away. because that's pretty helpful. For the most part, the rest of this video, this is the only really last thing that I seen that I thought was interesting. Just once again, reaffirming that the skill system's going to be kind of gone, and it's going to be all about these perks, because you're going to be harder to detect. Before, once again, the skill point system would make you harder to detect, so the higher your sneak was, the harder it was for you to be heard. There was nothing really like this before. Beforehand, all the sneak-based perks were like, oh, you can run around without being detected and whatnot, and then it would be like, oh, you can crouch faster, you get better criticals while you're sneaking, and all these different other kind of things. But yeah, it really makes it seem like they're getting rid of the skill system and going into mostly the perks to replace that system, which is pretty interesting. It'll be pretty cool to see how that all works out. For the most part, the rest of this, nothing really amazing does happen, but something that I did want to point out, which I really did like, is right back here. So, at the very, very beginning, guys, if you notice in this bottom part right here, I completely forgot to mention it, it says level up 1. Y to press it, so I'm assuming this is Xbox. So this makes me think that now it's not like level up, you're forced to level up, and then it just happens whenever combat ends. I think we could essentially save up our level ups. So if we wanted to save some more skill points, so if we were like, let's say like level 24, and we're like, oh, I just leveled up, like, I don't have a perk that I want to buy right now. I'm going to wait for that charisma thing, the intimidation, level 25. You know, I'm going to wait for like one more level and wait for like your XP to refill up. Because if you guys notice, since he just got into 14, it says level 14, and he already passed it, and he has a level up. So essentially, what this makes me think is that we can go to 15, imaginary 25, and have like 2 level ups, and then once we click it, we'll still get access to those level 25 things, because we're technically level 25, if you guys get it, if you guys are catching what I'm throwing down. But yeah, guys, that was pretty much everything that I wanted to show you. It was a pretty cool video. They finally really let us get an inside look on how everything is done, and I thought it was really cool of them. I was hoping they would, and they did. I'm really excited to see what all these perks do, because a lot of this stuff looks really freaking awesome, and I'm just getting more and more hyped every day to play this game. Every single time, like, after there's, like, no news for a while, I'll be like, I don't even know, like, Fallout's gonna be cool, but and then they come out with the video, and they're like, yes, Fallout 4, and it just, like, reinvigorates me to want to play this game. It's gonna be a blast, and, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it. So, yeah, guys, that's gonna be the video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and, yeah, I'm Monkey Chicken. So, what I got. Peace.